Maybe you felt it too, that quiet moment when you pause and wonder where the years went. One morning you catch your reflection and see lines that tell stories, silver hair that carries wisdom, and you think, when did I become this person? I remember a spring evening last year sitting on my porch watching the sunset paint the sky in soft pinks. Across the street was Mrs. Rose, a 72-year-old widow who always waved as she watered her roses. That evening she wasn't alone. Her grandson, maybe 12, was with her, holding the hose, laughing as they accidentally sprayed each other. Their joy was contagious, but it stirred something in me, a longing. When was the last time I shared a moment like that with my own grandkids? Aging isn't just about the body slowing down or memories fading. Sometimes it's the ache of feeling distant from the people you love, even when they're just a phone call away. I used to think I was too old to change that, to bring back the closeness I missed. But Mrs. Rose taught me something different. She told me about the days when she felt like a shadow in her own life. Her kids were busy, her grandkids were growing fast, and she felt like she was fading into the background. I felt like an old photograph tucked away in a drawer, she said, her voice soft but steady. Then she decided to do something, not big sweeping changes but small steps, like rethinking what she ate, what she did, how she showed up for herself. Today I want to share a story with you, not just about health but about living with clarity, loving with purpose, and holding those you care about a little closer. Because sometimes the foods we eat, the ones we think are good for us, can quietly dim our light, making it harder to be the person we want to be for our families. I'm going to tell you about 7 popular foods that might be slowly harming your brain after 60 without you even knowing. These aren't strange exotic things, they're in your kitchen right now, foods you've eaten for years thinking they're helping you stay sharp. But they could be clouding your mind, stealing your energy, and pulling you away from the moments that matter most. Picture yourself at the breakfast table. You want to start the day right, maybe share a meal with your grandkids when they visit. You pour a bowl of cereal or grab a piece of toast thinking it's simple, healthy. But by mid-morning you're foggy, like your thoughts are wading through molasses. You feel sluggish, maybe a little irritable, and you wonder why you can't keep up with the kids like you used to. You blame age, it's just how things are now, you tell yourself. But what if it's not just age? What if it's something on your plate, something you've trusted for years? I think of Mrs. Rose's story when she noticed this herself. She loved her morning cereal, a habit from her younger days. She'd sit with a bowl of sugary flakes, or even the healthy kind with bran and raisins, thinking it was the perfect start. But she'd find herself forgetting small things, the name of a neighbor where she parked her car. I thought it was just getting older, she said with a small laugh, but it scared me. She went to a doctor who explained that some foods, even ones marketed as healthy, can spike your blood sugar or cause inflammation in ways that fog your brain. For Rose, that cereal was a culprit. Sugary cereals, even those labeled as whole grain or high fiber, can be a problem for folks over 60. They're often packed with refined carbs and hidden sugars that send your blood sugar soaring, then crashing. That roller coaster doesn't just make you tired, it stresses your brain, reducing focus and memory over time. Studies show high blood sugar can shrink parts of the brain linked to memory, like the hippocampus. For Rose, those morning bowls were making her feel hazy, pulling her away from the clarity she needed to joke with her grandson or remember his stories about school. I hated feeling like I wasn't all there, she said, her eyes misty. But Rose's story doesn't end there. She didn't give up her breakfast rituals, she just got wiser. She switched to oatmeal, not the instant kind but the slow-cooked version with fresh berries and a sprinkle of nuts. It's still comforting, still delicious, but it keeps my mind steady, she said. And something beautiful happened when she felt clearer, she felt braver. She started inviting her grandson over for breakfast, teaching him how to make oatmeal just the way she liked it. Those mornings became their time, filled with stories and giggles, a bridge that brought them closer. Watching her, I realized health isn't just about staying sharp, it's about being present for the people who make your heart full. If you've ever felt foggy after a meal or struggled to keep up with your grandkids, maybe it's time to look at what's on your plate. You don't have to fear food or overhaul your life. Just notice how you feel after you eat that cereal. If you're tired, forgetful, or not yourself, maybe try a bowl of oatmeal or some scrambled eggs with veggies instead. It's not about giving up what you love, it's about choosing what loves you back, what gives you the clarity to laugh, to listen, to be there. You're not alone in this. There are small choices like picking the right breakfast that can light the way to a sharper mind, a fuller life. Today you'll share 7 foods that might be dimming your brain without you knowing, not to scare you but to empower you to live with energy, with love, with the people you cherish. Are you ready to walk this path with me? Because I believe whether you're 60, 70 or 80, there's still time to think clearly, to love deeply, and to start anew. Mrs. Rose's mornings with her grandson, the way they stirred oatmeal together laughing over spilled berries, linger in my mind like a warm melody. It's not just about the food she chose, it's about how that choice gave her clarity to be there fully for him, to share stories that made their bond stronger. I've been thinking about my own days, how sometimes I feel a fog settle in, making it hard to focus on my grandkids' voices or remember the little things they tell me. Have you ever felt that, like your mind is slipping just out of reach, keeping you from the moments you cherish most? That feeling brought me to Mr. Henry, a 67-year-old retired teacher who lives a few blocks away. He's the kind of man who always has a book in hand and a story to tell, but he wasn't always so steady. Henry told me about a time when he started noticing gaps in his thoughts. I'd be reading to my grandkids, he said, his voice soft, and I'd lose my place or forget a character's name. It was small at first, but it scared him. He thought it was just age creeping and maybe the start of something worse. His grandkids would giggle and say, "Grandpa, you're silly," but he saw the worry in his daughter's eyes when he misplaced his keys or repeated himself. Henry went to his doctor, who asked about his diet. One thing stood out: his love for white bread. He'd make sandwiches for lunch, thick slices with peanut butter or deli meat, thinking it was simple, wholesome. "It's just bread," he said, chuckling. How could that be the problem? But his doctor explained that white bread, like many refined carbs, breaks down into sugar, quickly spiking blood glucose. For folks over 60, those spikes can harm the brain over time, causing inflammation and reducing blood flow to areas that control memory and focus. Studies show refined carbs like white bread can increase the risk of cognitive decline, making it harder to stay sharp. I could feel Henry's disbelief as he told me this. "I'd eaten bread my whole life," he said. It was comfort food, something he shared with his grandkids when they'd come over for lunch. But he started noticing how he'd feel after those sandwiches, sluggish, like his brain was stuck in low gear. "I'd want to play cards with the kids," he said, "but I'd get so tired I'd just sit there watching them." That hurt more than the forgetfulness. If you've ever felt too foggy to keep up with your grandkids, to be the grandparent you want to be, you know that ache. It's like a piece of you is missing. What Henry learned was a wake-up call. White bread wasn't just filling his stomach, it was clouding his mind, making it harder to be present. The inflammation from those blood sugar spikes was like a slow fog creeping over his thoughts. And it wasn't just about him, it was about his grandkids who looked up to him, who needed his stories, his laughter. "I didn't want to be the grandpa who forgets their names," he said, his voice breaking. "I wanted to be there, all of me." Hey, race where Henry's story turns bright. He didn't give up bread altogether, he just got smarter about it. He switched to whole grain bread, the kind with visible seeds and no added sugars. "It's got a heartier taste," he said, grinning, "and it doesn't make me crash." He also tried almond flour wraps for his sandwiches, lighter and easier on his blood sugar. These weren't just food swaps, they were lifelines. His mind felt clearer, his energy steadier, and those gaps in his thoughts started to close. The real magic happened with his grandkids. Henry started making lunch dates a ritual. He'd let them pick toppings for their wraps, laughing as they piled on veggies or sneaked extra cheese. Those meals became more than food, they were moments of connection, of being grandpa again. I can still picture him at his kitchen table, his grandkids across from him, their faces bright as they told him about school or argued over who got the bigger slice. It's such a simple thing, isn't it? But it's everything. It's the difference between fading into the background and being fully there, your mind sharp, your heart open. Henry's story makes me think about my own habits, about the bread I reach for without a second thought. Maybe you've got a loaf of white bread in your kitchen, something you thought was fine but might be dimming your light. You don't have to change everything overnight. Just take a moment like Henry did and notice how you feel after you eat. If you're foggy, tired, or struggling to focus, maybe try a slice of whole grain or a wrap instead. It's not about giving up comfort, it's about choosing what keeps your mind clear, what lets you be there for the people you love. I think about my grandkids, how their laughter fills the house when we're together, even if it's just for a quiet afternoon. Those moments matter, don't they? They're what keep us close, what make the years feel like a gift. Henry showed me we have the power to protect those moments, to keep our minds sharp for the stories, the games, the love. It's not about being perfect, it's about being present, about making choices that lift us up so we can lift up the ones we care about. There are more foods we need to talk about, things we eat every day that might be quietly harming our brains. But every step we take, every small change brings us closer to a life that's clearer, fuller, more connected. You're not too old to feel that spark, to share that love. Let's keep going together, because you deserve to live this season with a mind that's sharp, a heart that's full, and the people who make your days bright. Henry's lunch dates with his grandkids, the way they laughed over their messy wraps, stay with me like a warm light. It's not just about the bread he chose, it's about how that choice cleared the fog, letting him be the grandpa who listens, who remembers. I've been thinking about my own moments with my grandkids, how sometimes I feel a heaviness in my head that makes their stories slip through my fingers. Have you ever felt that, like your mind is a step behind, keeping you from soaking in the joy of those you love most? That thought led me to Mrs. Lila, a 74-year-old woman who runs a knitting club at the community center. She's got this quiet strength, her hands steady as she guides younger members through their stitches. But Lila wasn't always so calm. She told me about a time when she felt like she was unraveling. "I'd get these headaches," she said, her voice soft but heavy, "and I'd feel so irritable I didn't recognize myself. She'd snap at little things, forget where she parked her car, or miss a step in her knitting patterns. I thought it was just stress or age," she said, "but it was scaring me." Lila went to her doctor, who asked about her diet. One thing stood out: her love for processed deli meats. She'd make sandwiches with ham, turkey, or salami for lunch, sometimes dinner too, thinking they were quick and healthy. "It's just a sandwich," she said with a small smile, "how could that hurt?" But her doctor explained that processed meats are loaded with sodium and preservatives like nitrates, which can harm the brain over time. For folks over 60, high sodium can raise blood pressure, reducing blood flow to the brain, while nitrates may trigger inflammation linked to cognitive decline. Studies suggest these foods can increase the risk of memory issues, even dementia. I could see Lila's surprise as she shared this. "I'd been eating those meats forever," she said. They were easy, something she could whip up when her grandkids came over. But she started noticing how she'd feel after those meals. Her head would throb, she'd get snappy, and she'd need a nap by afternoon. "I'd want to knit with the kids," she said, "but I'd be too cranky or tired to enjoy it." That hurt more than the headaches. If you've ever felt too irritable to be the grandparent you want to be, to share the moments that light up your heart, you know, that sting, it's like you're watching yourself drift away. Lila's story hit me hard because it wasn't just about her health, it was about her connection to her grandkids. They loved her knitting club, tagging along to learn or just to chatter while she worked. But when she was foggy or short-tempered, those visits felt strained. "I didn't want them to think Grandma was grumpy," she said, her eyes misty. "I wanted to be their safe place, their storyteller." That desire pushed her to listen to her body, to make a change. Hey, race where Lila's story blooms. She didn't give up her sandwiches, she just got creative. Instead of deli meats, she started using fresh grilled chicken or baked salmon seasoned with herbs. "They're just as easy," she said, grinning, "and they taste even better." She also tried hummus with veggies for a lighter lunch that didn't leave her sluggish. These weren't just food swaps, they were a lifeline to clarity. Her headaches faded, her mood steadied, and she felt like herself again, sharp, patient, ready to laugh. The real gift was what came next. Lila turned her knitting club into a family affair, inviting her grandkids to join every week. They'd sit together, needles clicking, sharing stories about school or silly things they'd seen. Sometimes they'd bring their own sandwiches packed with fresh ingredients, giggling as they traded bites. Those afternoons became their haven, a space where Lila wasn't just grandma but a teacher, a listener, a friend. I can still picture her in that circle, her grandkids beside her, their faces bright as they tangled their yarn and roared with laughter. It's such a simple thing, isn't it? But it's everything. It's the difference between feeling lost and feeling found. Lila's story makes me think about my own fridge, about the deli meats I grab for a quick meal. Maybe you've got some ham or turkey in there, something you thought was fine but might be clouding your mind. You don't have to toss everything out. Just take a moment like Lila did and notice how you feel after you eat. If you're getting headaches, feeling snappy, or needing naps, maybe try grilling some chicken or spreading hummus on your next sandwich. It's not about giving up what you love, it's about choosing what loves you back, what keeps your mind clear for the people who matter. I think about my grandkids, how their hugs feel like home, how their questions make me want to be my best self. Lila's story shows we can protect those moments, keep our minds sharp for the laughter, the stories, the love. It's not about being perfect, it's about being there, your heart open, your thoughts clear. We choose what lifts us up so we can lift up the ones we care about. There are more foods we need to explore, things we eat every day that might be quietly dimming our brains. But every step we take, every small change brings us closer to a life that's sharper, fuller, more connected. You're not too old to feel that warmth, to share that love. Let's keep walking this path together, because you deserve to live this season with a mind that's steady, a heart that's full, and the people who make your days sing. Lila's Knitting Club. The way her grandkids' faces lit up as they tangled their yarn feels like a snapshot of love in motion. It's not just about the sandwiches she chose, it's about how those choices cleared her mind, letting her be the grandma who listens, who laughs. I've been thinking about my own afternoons with my grandkids, how sometimes a strange unease creeps in, making it hard to focus on their chatter or keep up with their energy. Have you ever felt that, like your mind is weighed down, pulling you away from the moments that make your heart sing? That feeling brought me to Mr. Samuel, a 69-year-old gardener who tends a small plot at the community garden. He's got this quiet joy about him, his hands always dusted with soil. But Samuel wasn't always so steady. He told me about a time when he felt like he was slipping. "I'd get these mood swings," he said, his voice low, "and I'd feel so anxious for no reason. He'd forget what he was planting, snap at his grandkids when they asked to help, and sometimes just stare at his garden, unable to start. I thought it was just me getting old," he said, "but it was like a cloud over my mind." Samuel went to his doctor, who asked about his diet. One thing stood out: his love for fried foods. He'd fry up chicken wings or onion rings for dinner, especially when his grandkids came over, thinking it was a fun treat. "It's just comfort food," he said, shrugging. "How could that hurt?" But his doctor explained that fried foods, often cooked in unhealthy oils like vegetable or canola oil, are packed with trans fats and omega-6 fatty acids. For folks over 60, these can cause inflammation in the brain, disrupting mood and memory. Studies show chronic inflammation from fried foods can increase anxiety, depression, and even the risk of cognitive decline. I could feel Samuel's shock as he shared this. "Those were our special dinners," he said. He'd watch his grandkids gobble up the crispy wings, their laughter filling the kitchen. But he started noticing how he'd feel afterward, jittery, like his nerves were frayed or so low he didn't want to talk. "I'd want to garden with the kids," he said, "but I'd be too on edge or just drained." That hurt more than anything. If you've ever felt too anxious or moody to be the grandparent you want to be, to share the joy of a sunny afternoon, you know that weight, it's like you're carrying a storm inside. Samuel's story hit me because it wasn't just about his health, it was about his grandkids. They loved his garden, following him around with tiny shovels, eager to dig. But when he was moody or foggy, those moments felt strained. "I didn't want them to think Grandpa was angry," he said, his eyes glistening. "I wanted to be their adventure buddy, their storyteller." That longing pushed him to make a change, to listen to what his body was saying. Here's where Samuel's story shines. He didn't give up his love for tasty meals, he just got wiser. Instead of frying, he started baking his chicken wings with a light spice rub, or air frying onion rings with a touch of olive oil. "They're just as crispy," he said, grinning, "and I don't feel like I'm falling apart after." He also added more grilled veggies like zucchini and peppers to his dinners, colorful and satisfying. These weren't just food swaps, they were a path to peace. His mood swings eased, his anxiety faded, and he felt steadier, ready to dig in the dirt with a clear mind. The real beauty was what came next. Samuel turned his garden into a playground for his grandkids. He'd let them plant seeds, pick tomatoes, even chase each other through the rows, giggling. Those afternoons became their treasure, a space where Samuel wasn't just grandpa but a guide, a partner in their adventures. I can still picture him kneeling in the soil, his grandkids beside him, their hands muddy as they pulled up a carrot and cheered. It's such a simple thing, isn't it? But it's everything. It's the difference between feeling lost and feeling alive, your mind calm, your heart full. Samuel's story makes me think about my own kitchen, about the fried snacks I reach for when I want to treat my grandkids. Maybe you've got some oil in your pantry or a bag of frozen fries, something you thought was fine but might be stirring up your mind. You don't have to change everything at once. Just take a moment like Samuel did and notice how you feel after you eat. If you're anxious, moody, or drained, maybe try baking or grilling your next meal. It's not about giving up joy, it's about choosing what steadies your mind, what lets you be there for the people you love. I think about my grandkids, how their excitement fills the house when we play together, even if it's just a silly game. Samuel's story shows we can protect those moments, keep our minds calm for the laughter, the adventures, the love. It's not about being perfect, it's about being present, your thoughts clear, your spirit light. We choose what lifts us up so we can lift up the ones we care about. There are more foods we need to look at, things we eat every day that might be quietly troubling our brains. But every step we take, every small change brings us closer to a life that's clearer, fuller, more connected. You're not too old to feel that peace, to share that love. Let's keep walking this path together, because you deserve to live this season with a mind that's calm, a heart that's open, and the people who make your days bright. Samuel's garden, the way his grandkids cheered over a muddy carrot, feels like a burst of sunlight. It's not just about the meals he chose, it's about how those choices steadied his mind, letting him be the grandpa who adventures, who laughs. I've been thinking about my own time with my grandkids, how sometimes a strange haze settles in, making it hard to recall their stories or find the words to share mine. Have you ever felt that, like your mind is slipping just out of reach, keeping you from the love and laughter you crave? That thought led me to Mrs. Grace, a 77-year-old librarian who volunteers at the local school reading to children. She's got this gentle spark, her voice bringing stories to life. But Grace wasn't always so clear. She told me about a time when she felt like she was fading. I'd stumble over words she said, her voice soft, or forget the plot halfway through a book. She'd get dizzy, sometimes anxious, and it scared her. I thought it was just age, she said, but it was like my brain was fighting me. Her grandkids loved her story time, but she'd cut it short, too tired or foggy to keep going. Grace went to her doctor, who asked about her diet. 3 things stood out: her love for sugary sodas, store-bought cookies, and instant coffee. She'd sip soda during the day, munch cookies with her grandkids, and start mornings with instant coffee, thinking they were harmless treats. It's just a pick-me-up, she said, smiling. How could that hurt? But her doctor explained that these foods high in sugar, caffeine, and artificial additives can harm the brain after 60. Sugary sodas and cookies spike blood sugar, causing inflammation and oxidative stress that damage brain cells. Instant coffee, often loaded with additives, can overstimulate the nervous system, leading to anxiety and poor sleep, which fogs memory. Studies show these can accelerate cognitive decline, shrinking areas like the prefrontal cortex that control focus and decision-making. I could see Grace's shock as she shared this. Those were my little joys, she said. She'd share cookies with her grandkids, their giggles filling the room. But she noticed how she'd feel after, dizzy, like her heart was racing, or so anxious she couldn't settle. I'd want to read to the kids, she said, but I'd be too jittery or just blank. That hurt more than anything. If you've ever felt too unsteady to be the grandparent you want to be, to share the stories that light up your heart, you know that ache, it's like you're watching yourself slip away. Grace's story hit me because it was about more than her health, it was about her grandkids. They adored her story time, curling up beside her as she read. But when she was foggy or anxious, those moments felt strained. I didn't want them to think Grandma was frail, she said, her eyes misty. I wanted to be their magic, their storyteller. That longing pushed her to change, to listen to her body. Hey, race where Grace's story glows. She didn't give up her treats, she just got smarter. Instead of soda, she started drinking sparkling water with a splash of fresh lemon, crisp and refreshing. For cookies, she baked her own using almond flour and a touch of honey, still sweet but gentler on her brain. And for coffee, she switched to brewed decaf with a sprinkle of cinnamon, smooth and calming. These weren't just swaps, they were a lifeline to clarity. Her dizziness faded, her anxiety eased, and her mind felt sharp again, ready to weave tales. The real magic was what followed. Grace turned storytime into a family ritual, inviting her grandkids to pick books and even act out characters. They'd sprawl on the floor sipping lemon water, nibbling homemade cookies, laughing as they made up silly endings. Those moments became their treasure, a space where Grace was more than grandma, she was a creator, a keeper of wonder. I can still picture her in that library, her grandkids beside her, their eyes wide as she read with a voice full of life. It's such a simple thing, isn't it? But it's everything. It's the difference between fading and shining. As I think back on Rose, Henry, Lila, Samuel, and Grace, I see a thread running through their stories. Those 7 foods: sugary cereals, white bread, deli meats, fried foods, sodas, cookies, instant coffee, seem so ordinary, but for us over 60 they can quietly dim our brains, stealing our clarity, our joy, our time with those we love. But we're not helpless. We can choose differently, not out of fear but out of love for ourselves, for our families, for the moments that make life sing. I think about my grandkids, how their smiles light up my world, how their questions make me want to be there fully. These stories, from Rose's oatmeal to Grace's storytime, show us it's never too late to think clearly, to be present. You don't have to be perfect, just start. Look at your kitchen, your habits, and ask what's lifting you up, what's holding you back. Try oatmeal instead of cereal, whole grain wraps over white bread, fresh chicken instead of deli meats, grilled veggies over fried treats, water or decaf instead of sodas, and cookies you bake yourself. Each choice is a step toward a mind that's sharp, a life that's full. You're not too old to shine, to love deeply, to hold your grandkids close and know you're giving them the best of you. Aging isn't the end, it's a new chapter, a chance to live with wisdom, with grace, with joy. You're not just getting older, you're becoming the wisest, most radiant version of yourself, the one who knows what matters most. So take that step today, for you, for them. Because you deserve to live this season with a mind that's clear, a heart that's full, and a life brimming with love. And you're not alone, not for a single moment.